Hello, welcome to part 14 of my offline guide. Last one was like 3 weeks ago or something, but I saw that the new patch was coming out, so I decided might as well wait until after the patch. Honestly, the patch didn't change anything. They just added a new ability to everyone that no one ever buys the item. So, anyway, pretty much last week, I think well, not last week, but last time, I pretty much covered most of the things about laning. There's like a few more things that I can go more in depth into, but I think I'm gonna save that for later, I guess. But just for today, I've decided to talk about some of the like miscellaneous things that I couldn't fit in. So this is mostly gonna be like just random things about items and laning. So the first thing to keep in mind is that the bottle, like a lot of people buy bottle on offlane. Um, The idea behind this is if you get it before minute 5, you can secure yourself one bounty rune. You usually leave the other one for your mid, and then it gives you like 6 charges, right? And that's pretty good value for 625 gold. And whenever your pos 4 dies, drop the bottle at the tower, and because he gets the fountain buff when he comes back to lane. He fills up the bottle. And also, if you ever do this for someone else, make sure that you hold control and click the bottle on them because you can give them like 2 charges for free before it starts depleting because the fountain buff lasts a really long time. I see a lot of people they like really question the bottle on offlane because they're like they don't want to go contest the runes for their mids, right? But it's not really for that. Like 6 or 9 charges, this is already really good. I like to buy it on Mars instead of Sol Ring. Like it's slightly less gold, but it doesn't lower your health. Um, the next item that I see a lot of people they don't buy is let me see if I can find it. Orb of Venom. It's here somewhere. So this is a really good item, especially with the new Orb of Corrosion. Um, You never buy this on ranged heroes, like ever. I don't know why some people think that this is good. It's like 2 damage for 2 seconds. You might as well buy Mantle of Intelligence. That's 3 damage every attack. And int. Um, but if you're like in some sort of winning lane, like you're playing Abaddon against Anti-Mage, or like Slardar against Anti-Mage, or just like Slardar versus Drow, like these sorts of lanes, and you start winning, you should buy like Orb of Venom before your phase boots or your power treads or whatever, because every time you get on top of them, they have to run away, and you're gonna make them miss a lot of last hits. Especially with this new Orb of Corrosion, this is like really good on Slardar, Mars, um, those sorts of heroes. You're gonna have a lot of uh success trading into enemies. Also make sure that you check if the enemy carry has Orb Venom or not, because you have to play very differently. If the enemy carry has Orb Venom, you can't just like walk into him and trade into him. You have to like try and burn him out of regen because it means he hasn't got as much regen or he doesn't have Quelling Blade, and then you can just deny him. But if you like try and fight an anti-mage with Orb Venom, he'll end up chasing you down and taking all your mana or killing you. Um, the next item is Raindrop. This is like a super useful item to buy just in general. It's really good on low mana heroes like Mars, Darkseer kind of things. But there's a lot of lanes where this item is super useful. Like it will turn the lane around. Um, I think you can only buy this like at minute 3 or something. I can't remember when exactly it is. But if you play against like Oracle, this is a really good item because against Oracle when he only has magic nukes, right? And he has to open with his best nuke. Because the whole point of Oracle is like you do the E into Q, right? And then it cancels the thing. But this one does a lot more damage than this one. So if you block basically 200 damage from here and then you take like 120 damage from Q, it's like Oracle does 150 damage to you and that's it. Like his burst is over because he doesn't do much right click damage at all. A lot of supports are like this. Lich as well. Um, yeah, just anytime you you're playing against those sorts of magic burst heroes, if you buy Raindrop, it'll save your life a lot. Um, Ring of Protection, super underrated item. Whenever I play against Drow as like anyone below like 5 armor or just any sort of carry that will hit you a lot, like Drow because of the orb attack, Monkey King because of Jingu and whatever. Um, support Dazzle because all his spells do physical damage. Like most sort of ranged harassers, like Clinks as well. Maybe even Morphling. It's just really good to start with Ring of Protection. Next one is Quelling Blade. Um, I know a lot of people they always buy Quelling Blade, but there are certain heroes you don't really need Quelling Blade on, like Centaur, Spirit Breaker, um, maybe like Brewmaster or something. You know, like they start with 60, like 5 or 61 damage, right? If you're in a matchup where they don't do much damage on denies, like Drought Ranger, right? She does a lot of damage on attacks because of frost arrows, but you can't use frost arrows on denies, especially clinks and things like this. You might want to not start with Quelling Blade and just buy more tank and regen. I know a lot of people, a lot of pro players, what they do is they skip Quelling Blade and they buy a double gauntlet. If you compare the two, Quelling Blade is 130 gold, obviously it's more efficient, but Double Gauntlet is 6 damage compared to 13, which is obviously less, but the 6 damage works on denies and last hits, and it gives you like 120 health, right? So I think it gives you a little bit of base regen as well, and it builds into braces and soul rings if you want. So on certain heroes, you can consider not buying the Quelling Blade. There are times where you always want the Quelling Blade, like when you're against Treant Protector, you want to cut down his trees and things like that, but sometimes it's fine to skip it. Um, Blightstone, I see people really like to buy this item at low MMR for some reason. Um, this item's not really good. Like, -2 armor is generally not going to do much in the very early stage of the game because the carry's going to start next to his tower anyway, and 2 armor is not a big deal really. Like, if you buy Blightstone, they'll just play defensive, and unlike Orb of Venom, like, there's no reason to fight into a Blightstone, right? Like, at least with Orb of Venom, you're slowed. You can't really just run away. Um, on some heroes it is good, like Chen offlane, Ench offlane, like these things with like a lot of summons. But if you're gonna buy Blightstone, I would buy against low armor heroes, and I buy it as like a second or third item instead of the Orb of Venom if you already have built-in slows or stuns. Like this is nice on like CK, or heroes that do like a lot of physical damage. But again, like just I wouldn't start with it. It's 300 gold. It's a very big investment. The next one is Magic Stick. This is like pretty well known as you buy it against Bristol and Zeus and PA sort of item, right? But there's a lot of lanes where you can actually buy the magic stick, like Lich. Um, I'm trying to think, like even like PL. Um, it's kind of random, right? Like you don't expect them to use that many spells, but like Troll Warlord, right? Like these ones are gonna use the Whirling Axes and the Spirit Lance and Frost Blast a lot. Sometimes I start with this against Lich. I start with this against Undying. Um, it's just generally quite a useful item if you don't really need stats. Like if you get like 5 charges or 6 charges on it, it's gonna burst heal you for like 100, and you can bait people into dying or something. But just don't count out the possibility of buying this. But on the other hand, a lot of people instantly upgrade into Magic Wand. I don't really recommend this because you're paying for the recipe, which gives you +1 all stats, but it's 150 gold, and you're never going to get to 20 charges in lane. You usually use it on 10 charges if you're onto 10. It's really hard to have people cast 20 spells at you, unless they're like Batrider, I'd say, or PA. So I wouldn't instantly upgrade this, but what I will say is that Magic Wand is like super broken item in Dota in general. It's like a mini Aegis, and if I don't have Magic Wand, they're like minute 15 on any hero, I'll just buy Magic Wand because it will save your life like once or twice on average per game for 450 gold. That's how strong it is. It's not even about numbers or anything. Like if it saves your life once, it's already paid for itself more than twice. If it saves your lives twice, that's like 2000 gold item, right? It's really really strong. I would buy this game item like literally every game on every hero except for maybe like Skyrath Mage or something. Um, the next one would be Windlace. This is like super fucking overrated item. I know a lot of people they like to start with Windlace, like when they're against Juggernaut or something, or like uh Monkey King, right? Because they think they're just gonna outrun Jug or Monkey King. But the problem is like 20 move speed for 250 gold is absolutely nothing. Like move speed in this game, it doesn't make a big difference in the low numbers. Like if you're 310 move speed against 300, and you get Jug spinned from like melee range, even if you run the whole time, you're still gonna be in the middle of the spin after 5 seconds. Like the only time move speed is good is if you have like a lot more move speed, and usually that's like with phase boots or like tranquil boots or something. Winlace it generally doesn't do a lot. Like I don't think it's a good item. It doesn't really build into anything that you super want. I just generally wouldn't start with this. If I'm going to start with Windlace, what that means is I'm in a matchup where stats don't really matter and it's more about avoiding spin and Monkey King. And if it's like that sort of matchup where it's kind of tough, I'll just start Boots. Like Boots is twice as expensive, but the move speed will actually make a difference, right? And then I'll just ship in Cunning Blade and whatever later. I just don't think Windlace is a very good item to start with. However, Windlace is a pretty good item to buy like casually, like as a like not even upgrading into anything. If you decide to get power treads over phase on some heroes, like a lot of people buy power treads on Mars and Legion, I think, and Slardar, I guess. But these are heroes that actually really need move speed. If you think about it, like if they don't have their blink, it's hard. You can just buy like casual Windlace, and you'll have like not quite phase move speed, but like it'll be slightly better, and it's only 250 gold at that point. Um, Next one is Ring of Regen and Sage Mask. I guess I'll put these two in the same category. A lot of people they buy these two items just casually. Like this one's 1.25 health, this one's 0.7 mana, and they're both like under 200 gold. I'd say this one is really up to personal preference, but you should try it and see what you think about it because I don't really like buying the Ring of Regens. I prefer mangoes. Like if you just look at the maths, um, I think mango is like zero point 0.6 for 70, right? If you so this is like you can buy like almost 2.5, and you're getting more regen, and you can eat the mangoes. The main good thing about the ring of regen is it builds into hood, and also if you eat a mango, it's gone forever, which is builds into headdress. But yeah, I would try these. In certain matchups, it's quite useful. The Sage's Mask, I'd think, is more universally useful. Like if you play Dazzle offlane or Enigma offlane or Darkseer offlane, having one of these is going to help your mana a lot in the long run. Like if you lane for 5 minutes or something, that's like 300 seconds, right? This is like 270 mana for 175 gold. It's really good value, and it builds into items you want, like Medallion, Basilius. Basilius is really good as well. I think next one is Fluffy Hat. Patch just came out. I don't really know what to think about this item. I haven't really seen anyone buy it. I also haven't seen many people buy the Falcon Blade. I think these are both like under powered items. The only time I see people buy Fluffy Hat is to buy Orb of Corrosion, in which case they buy it last. I'm not sure if Fluffy Hat is a very good item. It's just like how I don't think Ring of Tarrasque is a very good item, but I guess we'll see. Um, Next up is the sort of Bracer, Wraithband, Null Talisman trio, I guess. Um, these three items are sort of like the average like stat item, right? Um, Generally, if I play a strength hero, I'll buy like a brace or two because it's plus 8 damage for 510 health, for 510 gold, and it's plus 100 health, and it's 1 health regen almost. So like those numbers are all pretty good, I'd say. Like if you start with Gauntlet of Strength, I think you should build a bracer. Some people actually start with a bracer instead of like they start with bracer and tangos, so that's 600 gold, right? Um, I've seen it on Night Stalker, Brewmaster, Centaur, like things like this, because they'll start the game with like 85 damage on denies, and they'll just deny the enemy. So if you play like Night Stalker, which is like a really passive hero that can't do much, um, at the start of the game against like Juggernaut or something, where he just wants to kill you, you can buy this and you're gonna do like double his damage and you can deny him and your health is gonna be too big for him to like burst down, right? So sometimes you can start with Bracer, it's quite nice. Wraithband and Null Talisman in the offlane, I think are slightly worse than Bracer because they don't give damage, which is like the most important stat really. Um, Wraithband is still pretty good because it gives you attack speed and armor, which both help you trade. I would like think about the sort of lane I'm in. Um, I know a lot of people they used to, or maybe they still do. They buy like Wraithband on Legion Commander or like Mars or something. Because it's like it gives them armor. I think Kezu is like very big fan of that build. Um, I've tried it a few times. I don't think it's very good, but you can like experiment yourself with it and see if you like it or not. I just generally find that if you buy Wraith Fans and no talismans, you are like too low on health and you spend too much gold on random stats. Like on strength heroes, if I buy a bracer for 500 gold, it gives me plus 8 damage. On int heroes, it only gives you plus 5 damage. And then if you like buy two null talismans for 1,000 gold, right? You can get power treads, which is also plus 10 in, so plus 10 damage. But it also gives you 25 attack speed and move speed. So but if you buy power treads on a strength hero, that doesn't give you plus 16 damage. So I mean, um, it's usually why when I play a int or agi hero, instead of starting bracer circlet, I'll start like double circlet, or I start the circlet because a lot of the time you can buy earn, and a lot of the time you can buy bracer as like a wrong stat hero. So like this game, I'm playing Weaver. Um, oh wait, wrong game actually. I think it was this game. See, this game I'm playing Weaver, I start with Circlet, and because of the lane I'm in, I'm buying double Bracer, and it's giving me quite a lot of damage. Because I'm against like a TB, I basically just want to deny him, right? Um, yeah, but like you don't always have to get Wraith Bands on Agi heroes. You don't always have to get no talismans on in heroes either. Um, Next sort of two items are phase boots and treads. This is like a very common debate that people have. I think it's pretty easy to like sort of have a rule of thumb for when to buy treads and when to buy phase. Um, Generally, you buy phase when you're winning the lane really hard before minute 5 or like minute 8, I guess, because the thing about phase boots is that it's gonna help you fight the lane. Like you run around really fast. It makes it easier for you to like get on top of enemy heroes or like kite their spells or whatever. And it gives you plus 18 damage, which is ridiculous for denies, and 4 armor, which is nice for trading. Um, the problem is that the treads gives you like plus 10 damage as well if you have it on the right thing. It saves you a lot of mana with the tread switching, and it gives you attack speed, which is definitely more DPS, especially as strength heroes with low attack speed but high attack damage. Um, how I would usually choose this is like pretty simple. First of all, do they have like a very physical lineup? If they have like a super physical lineup, I buy phase no matter what, just for the full armor. So like if they have like Drow carry and TA mid, I will ignore pretty much everything and I'll just buy phase because for the armor, like it's just good. Next would be, am I winning my lane? To the point where I can buy this early enough. If I can get phase before minute 4 or minute 5, I'll usually buy phase, like as any hero, like Slardar, like even heroes that usually buy treads. I'll buy phase and I'll like really dominate the lane with it. Um, Other examples would be if you don't feel like you need a blink dagger that game. So like if you're playing Mars and you think the enemy team has like a Zeus or something, so you have to buy Pipe first, I would buy Phase over Treads, ignoring what happens in the lane, because trying to play Mars with no Blink and no Phase is like too hard to initiate with. Um, Buying Treads is more like there's like another set of criteria for that, right? It's like more you're winning your lane, but there's no chance for you to like really deny the enemy heroes super hard or like fight into them either way. So you would rather advance your own game. Treads are obviously very good for saving mana, and it helps your farm speed a lot, and it helps you push the tower a lot. So like just as an example, this game I'm playing Abaddon offlane, I was against Lifestealer, who's like a right click carry, right? Like he does physical damage only. This guy does physical damage only, and even tiny mid is gonna do like a lot of physical damage and magic, right? So I think I go like I get the phase and Bracer, Basilius, Orb Venom, right? Well, this game I started double gauntlets as well. You see, I have a lot of deny damage. Um, but this game I'm against Wraith King, who just goes into the jungle at like minute 5 or something, and then because of that I buy treads myself just to farm and push his tower down faster. Um, and then I buy Blink that game as well. So generally you want to buy some mobility items. Um, the other good thing about treads is that you can buy the gloves of haste as a build up, and this is super useful on like heroes with really bad attack speeds. The main one I would say is Slardar because he scales his damage off his attack speed a lot more than most offlaners. Interesting note is that you can actually buy treads out of anything, all three of these items, not just belt of strength. So if you're like an agi hero or an int hero buying treads and you don't want to buy the gloves of haste first, just get the robe of the magi or the banner velvet skin. It gives you +6 main stats. It's pretty nice. Um, Next item is soul ring. Uh, Soul ring is like a very interesting item, I think, because there's like a lot of people who say it's super trash, but there's also a lot of people who say it's super good. So I think it is very much like a personal preference item. Like it's 740 gold, and you spend 170 health to gain 150 mana. Um, like just by that, and it's like 300 recipe, right? And it doesn't give you any extra stats. Um, all it gives you is this active. So you're paying 300 gold for an active that sometimes is like really bad. It just sort of depends on what sort of lane you're in, I'd say. If you can afford to sacrifice 170 health in your lane, I would do it. But there's a lot of lanes where you're like constantly fighting the enemy and you're trading regen into them. I would not buy the Soul Ring. I buy Bottle instead or Urn of Shadows. Um, I think Soul Ring, the way I look at it is like it's like a Midas in the off lane. Like you're putting a lot of investment to this item, and it's not gonna help you lane in any way. But you won't have to pay for mana for the rest of the game, unlike with Clarities or whatever. So I'd say if you're winning your lane super hard to the point where you can pay 100 and whatever health, 170 health, I would buy the Soul Ring. But otherwise, I'd buy like cheaper and more safe items. But uh, don't feel like you have to get Soul Ring on Darkseer and Mars. You can always buy Bottle and Sage's Mask, Clarities, Raindrops, Basilius. The game is a lot easier to save mana on nowadays. If you don't get Soul Ring on Mars, sometimes it's better to get Power Treads as well, just to tread switch and save yourself some mana. One nice thing about Soul Ring is that it builds out Ring of Protection. So sometimes if you play against Drow or PA or whatever, and you start Ring of Protection, it might be nice to buy the Soul Ring because then it's essentially 200 gold cheaper, right? And you're not really gonna buy you're not gonna buy like Buckler or something generally. Um, Speaking of which, next item is Urn of Shadows. This is like I would put this into the same category as Bottle and Soul Ring. I'd say if you're like a hero that needs mana, I would buy one of these three items, either Bottle, Urn, or Soul Ring. All three of these items are sort of like regen items. Um, Urn is really good if you're getting a lot of kills in the lane. And if you buy these items naturally. A very common one I'd say is Viper, because he's going to be spamming his W a lot in the off lane. So he usually starts like Sage's Mask, he needs armor, right? So like a lot of these items are already really good on Viper. And Viper has no natural regen, like he has no way to heal himself. So, you know, after you get a kill, being on one health as Viper is really shit because you have to walk home. And Viper is the sort of hero that usually like he all-ins to get his kills. Another one is like Void Spirit as well in the off lane. He wants the armor, he wants the mana regen, he wants the stats. Um, if you're doing well in the lane, I recommend you buy Urn. Make sure you tell your pulse 4 that you're buying Urn. Make sure you tell your pulse 5 if you're buying Urn as well, if he's like Oracle or something. But you can use it on yourself to heal a lot. You can also use it on enemies to damage them to try and finish them off with a kill. It's like super useful on Viper. Like doing that much magic damage and earn damage is like super rough for the enemy to deal with. Earn's just a really good item. You should have one on your team pretty much every game. I would also rush Earn. Like just get it like minute 3 or 4 so you can get as many charges as possible. It is especially nice if you start with both these items. But yeah. Um, so between these three, the way I choose is Bottle is best before minute 5 in like a static lane where I'm trading health. And if my pulse 4 is dying a lot, like especially if he's like techies or Pudge or something that naturally dies, it's really good because he can refill me a lot. Earn is best if you're winning the lane and no one else on your team wants to buy Earn, or if there's like a vessel need in the game like Alchemist or Morph, it's like especially good. And it's also good on mana hungry heroes, like more so than um, not really mana hungry heroes, but heroes that like start Sage Mask, it's going to be a lot cheaper on. Um, and Soul Ring is best if you're just having a really nice time in the lane, or you don't really need to lose health. Um, so like if you're Darkseer, and even if you're losing the lane because you're not going to be showing the lane when you put Iron Shards on the creeps, you can buy Soul Ring. But this is the greediest item out of the three. It saves you a lot of money though in the long run. I think the final two items I'm going to talk about are just for the lane. Well, a few more actually. So the first one is Ring of Basilius. Out of Headdress, Buckler, and Basilius, Basilius is the only one I see people buy in lane, just as a casual item. It gives you like 2.8 mana regen because of your pos 4, right? So 2.8 mana regen for like 5 minutes or something is really good. If you're in a lane where both of you need mana, like Mars plus Skywrath or like Zeus plus, Weaver or something, I don't know, you can just buy yourself a Basilius, or you can ask him to buy Basilius. It builds into the Veil, which is nice. Sand King as well, Legion Commander. A lot of these heroes that need mana, you don't have to buy like a super regen item to begin with. You can just buy Basilius and try and keep your mana a little bit afloat. Um, Next up are the Tranquil Boots and Arcane Boots. Um, Tranquil Boots is kind of underrated item on offlane. Some heroes can get it, but not like a huge amount. The most common one was a little while ago. There was a patch or meta where people got Tranquil Boots Soul Ring on Mars, and it gives you the heal that you need. Um, Tranquil Boots are usually best when you have brown boots for a long time, because it's usually best to upgrade your brown boots. It's not nice to keep this item for a long time, because all of the upgraded boots are quite good, because you already paid for 500. This is like a recipe that you always have to pay for. So like I'm trying to think like heroes like Sand King, or um like heroes like that where you run around with brown boots because you're not really like a stat based hero, like you lane in a sort of weird way. You can buy Tranquil Boots on after your brown boots, like after the lane is over, and then you just have a little bit of extra move speed. Pretty useless in the lane, to be honest. It's hard to keep the active effect, so it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. Um, Arcane Boots is usually best on people that want Greaves, so like Dazzle, Darkseer, these sort of heroes. Um, but Arcane Boots is generally quite nice if you have like a pos 4 that uses a lot of mana. So like I would never buy Arcane Boots on a hero that's like stat based. So like I wouldn't buy Arcane Boots on Mars just because I'm missing mana. Like you have to get stats on those sorts of heroes. But if I'm playing like Sand King, or like Dazzle or Darkseer, where I can choose between either keeping brown boots or upgrading to arcane boots, it will completely depend on my pulse 4 and how we're playing the lane. If we're spamming a lot of spells at them, I'll buy arcane boots, especially with like Skyriff Mage on your team or something like that. It's quite nice. So some other these are like the early game items, I guess. Um, and then next time I'll talk about the sort of mid game items. But there are some that I didn't talk about. Oh yeah, like the basic regen, I guess, will be the last thing I cover. So Tango Salve, I think I've already talked about in the regen video. You buy it, you try to keep a salve on you at all times, just as like an emergency thing. But buy Tangos because it's more gold efficient and it's easier to use. Like the salve is more unwieldy. You have to be missing 400 health. Clarity versus Mango. In the off lane, you generally always buy Mango because you're going to be fighting the lane a lot. It's hard to keep the Clarity active. But if they're sort of not in the lane anymore, like you push them out of the lane successfully, buy the Clarity again. It's more effect. What's it called? It's more efficient than Mango. Um, the last one, miscellaneous item, is Fairy Fire. This is actually a really, really good item. It might not seem like it on paper because it's kind of bad value. Like when you press it, it's not that good. Like 70 gold for 85 health, right? But 2 damage is really good. And more importantly, if you press this with like a magic stick or something at 10 charges, it's going to heal you like such a ridiculous amount. You're going to be on like 350 health. All the time I win trades and fights and bait people onto my tower with Fairy Fire. Um, I usually buy like 1 at the start of the game, but sometimes I'll even buy 2 if I'm doing like a slightly different build. But I recommend practicing with Verify, making sure you remember to use it. This item is really, really good. It's really, really underrated. But yeah. The only other item I would really buy in lane or the only other two, I guess, would be the big Ring of Health. This one's pretty simple. If you buy Hood and you're in like a regen battle lane, it's basically like when you would buy Ring of Small Health, but you're like a stronger hero. Like your Centaur and Axe are like the very common ones you buy Vanguard, right? And the other one is Cloak. I think Cloak is really bad. Um, I would buy more base health than Cloak. You can do like the maths or whatever. Cloak is like plus 8% magic resist or something like that. It's better to get plus 8% total health because it's impossible for a lane to be doing only magic damage to you. This is more like a mid-game investment item when you're trying to upgrade into like Pipe or Hood or the new item like the Shroud or Glimmer. Um, I wouldn't buy it in lane. So yeah, that's pretty much it.